Hey guys, what's up? It's Schlaw coming back to ya with another episode of Walks with Schlaw. And yeah, it's been an alright time, I guess. It kind of feels weird. I feel kind of thrown off. But I guess the day, it's going by okay. You know, what can I say? What can I say? Don't really have too much to. Why do I always say? I just always default to saying that. It's weird. It's strange. I don't think I went too much in depth, but maybe I did this morning. It was this whole thing about how I woke up in the middle of the night and it took me a while to get back to sleep. It's weird. That doesn't usually happen to me, but recently that has been the case. And yeah, I don't know, I still kind of feel like I'm slipping away. I'm not really I don't really have a grip, you know. I'm not really getting a grip. I thought some of the episodes I recorded yesterday, though, were good. And now it's coming to me finally that I remember what I actually wanted to talk about. So I guess that's a good thing. But what I'm feeling at the moment is just an additional reminiscing of the past. You know, just how the past was and how it felt. How much realer things felt in the past. And it's just a crazy situation. You know, you really do want the past, but I don't know. This interim phase is not fun. Like, I would have rather been in the golden age or in the bronze age. You know, I don't really like being in the silver age. But I actually was thinking about that this morning. I feel like I've probably talked about this topic before on the show, but it's the fact that I actually have tangible nostalgia or tangible joy from my childhood. And obviously not everybody even has that, because there's a lot of people who don't. I mean, if you grow up in the TikTok era and everything's so fast and entertainment is so fast, I don't really think you're going to have nostalgia. It's all just going to be a bunch of lost events and lost content that is hard and difficult to find. And, you know, as we venture out of the monoculture and into such a fast media landscape, there's just more and more lost. There's more and more content that's more difficult to retrieve. And it's just inherently pretty bad. You know, in the past, you interact with games or media that are very easy to remember or very easy to document. So it's easier to bond with other people because you have shared experiences, shared characters, shared concepts in literature and media. And then now you really don't, because if from a kid TikTok is your thing and that's what you get hooked on, there's not really much to remember, is there? You just don't. There's not really anything to remember. And so when it comes to being able to bond with other people, now you've spent years of your life and you don't really have any nostalgia. You don't really have any memory to go off of or to build or to grow as a person. It's scary, isn't it? I think so. So I guess in a way, I'm kind of born in a very specific time where I'm basically as modern as possible, but I still had those distinct memories or distinct moments. So I really should be grateful for that, you know. As much as there's a lot of pain in being born in the interim, I don't think it's all for nothing, you know. There's definitely benefits to it, you know. Just some things to keep in mind, I suppose. Like, I shouldn't be that upset about it, but it's a painful path. It feels like a painful path to know of the golden age and see the upcoming bronze, the incoming bronze, and just not being able to do much about it. Sad, really. You know, you wonder how to handle that. You wonder what to do or why. But I think, you know, there is a specific reason for where I was born. I mean, it was almost perfect for that archetype. Now, is it perfect for human existence? No. You know, in terms of ease, it's not. But, I mean, even if I was just a few years younger, things could be looking pretty dramatically different for me right now. So, because a lot changed in a very short period of time. And yeah, I think there's a joy and there's a peace maybe in experiencing what I experienced. Just kind of the standard life, the remnants of the golden age. You know, there's definitely merit to that. There's something special to being a part of that and having nostalgia and memory, even if they've been dismantled by internet overstimulation at this point. There's still just something to be had there. I don't know. And I guess I'm grateful for that, for still being young enough and being in my 20s in a time where technology is finally at its peak in terms of we're very close to things loading fast and just being very quick. Kind of the end result of what a phone finally should be is finally happening. You know, around the 16 Pro, that CPU was really the first, and, you know, the Samsung around that time, the S25, really the first phones to really hit an impressive speed. And, you know, from here on out, it's just really refinement on that and continuing to get closer to that perfect zero loading experience. So that's a cool experience, but for pleasure, I would have wanted to be born 10 or 20 years earlier, you know, if we're talking about pleasure strictly. It was a better time. It was a more interesting time. There was lots of very cool things in the 2000s and the 2010s. And while I was alive for those periods, for whatever reason, I didn't get to touch them in the same way. Just because I guess my childhood, my parents, they were more of the practical type. I didn't really indulge much until the late 2010s, really late. Basically, the 2020s was my first kind of like when I just started spending money like a maniac. I didn't really buy much, honestly, from I did when I was a child, but then when I became a teenager, I never really ended up getting any of the stuff that I wanted. So there was like as a child, I got some interesting toys, I guess. But then as a teenager, really didn't get too much. Didn't really have too much stuff. Parents kind of limited that. And then, I just didn't really, I don't know. So my teenage years were slow. And then my super late teens into my 20s, it was indulgent. It was like I just went off the rails. And I do regret that, but that ties into what I wanted to talk about, and kind of that recent thing I noticed or mentioned. It's this concept about, of buying so many things and it's just impossible to appreciate or remember them. It just is. I mean, you can't be materialistic. This quantity of things and quantity of exposure to different products through advertising and through companies, it's impossible for the brain to appreciate that many things. And it's weird because, as I've said before, I went through a minimalist phase when I was around 16, 15, somewhere around there. But then I just couldn't do it, and then I ended up becoming more maximalist and indulgent than at any other point in my life. After that, it was like I tried really hard to resist, and I did resist, but it was only for like about 2 or 3 years, maybe 4. So maybe we'll say like 2 to 4 years. But then the indulgence just rushed back in, and I succumbed to the desires. But it makes it impossible to be as grateful. And that's kind of the thing where you get to this balance. And I'm assuming my story and my archetype has that as a message to glean from, because that's what I've experienced. I mean, you just don't really get anywhere expending resources like that and purchasing so many things. The brain can't appreciate it. And so we all kind of have to dial back. There's just no benefit to maximizing, and that's why I really want to really try to resist and recalibrate in 2026. That's really my goal, to recalibrate, just to refocus, realign, and kind of figure out what's going on and what's what, all that stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting to look back and see this all play out like it is. And I'm one of the few that's like really mindful of it or even thinking about any of this stuff. But I think that was the whole point. And I felt this way for a while. I'm sure you've seen the trend of even the short, brief window that car rides with schlaw and now walks with schlaw has firmly documented, which is this window showing the maximalist fatigue. And it kind of coming full circle. I don't know, but in a lot of ways, it's immaturity. It's getting sick of living and needing an electric charge, something to stimulate, and a craving for that. You live on this world and you resist and resist and resist, and you just eventually just lose it, and you just want to indulge, like you just want to, but it just doesn't lead to anything. And even where I'm at now, it wasn't wise. Just wasn't wise what I did. So I hope that 2026 is a successful endeavor. I hope so, but I don't know so. I definitely don't know so. It's all kind of up in the air now how things are going to end up, you know? I don't know if I'll really be able to muscle through, but I hope something can keep me accountable, maybe documenting the journey. But that's the idea. Just to try to wait and just to try to soak in a little more of what I have and think less about what I don't, you know? It's difficult. It's difficult to pull that off, but I mean, what can you do? You know, it's just, that's life for you. That's life. And that's something that, you know, maybe that is a relevant phrase there, but I still, I feel like there's a reason why I hate that phrase. Like in this morning's car rides with Schlaw, like I get agitated that I say that. Like I want to know who taught me that, or who taught me that life has to be this way. It doesn't. Life could be good. Life can be good. Why is all my advice that's been given to me just to cope with disappointment? It doesn't seem right to me. I don't like it. Something's wrong there. I don't like the picture. It shouldn't be, oh, well, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Oh, that's just how life is. You have to deal with it. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Like, no. It just doesn't make any sense, you know? I think life should be as great as it can be, and there's definitely a substantial amount of potential for that. It just gets so messy with humans and their ineffective nature, our inability to really show any type of solidarity on good morals or for good things or reasons. And then it really defeats a lot of the power that we have. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's disappointing. I mean, what is it? You know? But it's just a shame. I mean, just seeing everything crumble and seeing all these mindless workers and being a mindful worker and being punished and penalized for that. I mean, social punishment for saying the truth, that things could be better, that, yeah, that's not just life, that we should have guarantees in life. It's very feasible. And that it's a systemic issue, and that it's just so easy to fix these things, to solve these things. And anytime I try to talk about it, you just lose people or something. People, they deal with boredom. They deal with all this junk. Get over yourselves. You know, that's why I think there needs to be a moratorium on entertainment, because people can't prioritize stuff properly. You know, so for a period of time, let's focus and let's make a good system. A system that works well, and then, you know, after we get it up and running at least, then we can kind of relax for a little bit. You can have some time for play, but what I think the worst would be is if all this is basically useless. Like, I spend all this time being serious, and then at some point AI just comes through and saves everything, and then now nobody's accountable for anything. But that could happen. So maybe I'm being too grumpy, but I really see things for what it is, you know, and I see that there's so much truth in what I'm saying and evil in what the others are, you know, and it's just, yeah, I'm just not too thrilled about it. It's just dumb. Just not something I want. So I hope to see justice in my life. I have a feeling it could be coming in 10 to 20 years. That's where my current estimate is. But time will tell. I may just continue to watch the world burn and watch people continue to just be ignorant. We'll see. Anyways, it's been Schlaw, but now it's time to buy Schlaw. So, see ya, schlaw.